San Francisco has always been a place where success stories were born. In one of its neighborhoods, namely Bayview Hunters Point, the labor compliance manager's Lynn Robertson tells the story of a construction project that has changed the vision of what public affordable housing can be for its residents and their lives. There have been bands playing, welcoming speeches, and ribbon-cutting ceremonies for other Bayview Hunters Point projects completed. The completion of the Alice Griffith housing projects was something special. Stay tuned.
One day I gave an assignment to Cohort 1, and the assignment was really to write a paper about how government can better serve their community with information, outreach and education, and how to connect the dot between government and the community they're called to serve. One of the people in Cohort 1 who wrote a paper that impressed me was Ms. Etta Jones, and she talked a little bit about what was, in her opinion, a lack of outreach by government to educate the community about what benefits are out there, what programs are out there that could help them. Etta went ahead and led the team to create a HUD conference. And during that process, she learned that she had already worked for HUD in some capacity because she was involved with the Alice Griffith project. Her job as the education liaison was to get residents of a housing project from the old facilities that they were living in into a brand new housing development project. And as the education liaison, she specifically focused on targeted communities, youth at risk, that was at risk of dropping out of school and getting into trouble. She kept them in school. She not only kept them in school, she got them to graduate, and at the end of the day, she was able to help urban strategies to create opportunities through Section 3 for work opportunities on the job for the Alice Griffith Project for residents of that community.
Let's take a look to see how this success story came about.
What were the needs assessments that were done to create this project here?
Well, one big need right away was we needed workforce, and we reached out to the community to get workforce, local residents right at Double Rock, right across the street, and it was a need, and there was some training involved, of course, urban strategy. Then once they got on the job, there was on-job training. Okay, so urban strategies is an anchor here for helping to develop those needs in the workforce development. Definitely. Before the construction even starts, they're on the job, doing their thing, and then once we get here, we're building it, and we got a tight schedule to make. So some of those skill sets that you see coming from this effort here, what are some of those skill sets that have been developed for this particular project? Construction trades, so labor, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, you got several different trades. Oh, okay. Now, in terms of this building altogether, what sort of green energy has been brought into this development and design? Well, right away, my favorite one is we have the solar panels on top. The solar panel is not for electricity, it's actually for plumbing. It heats the hot water. So from the sun, it heats it, and then it goes down to the boiler room. That's one of my favorite. I mean, just when you look here at this podium, you got the flowers, the green spaces where the water can drain, go back into recycle, back into stormwater, all part of the ecosystem. Okay, good. And so as this transition continues on, the affordability of this kind of housing complex, that has to save somewhere in the residents' energy bills and electricity bills when you build that kind of green initiative into the complex. Definitely, it saves for everybody. It saves for McCormick management. It saves for the environment. The first wave of these, they're tenants, so electric bill will save. With energy efficient appliances and whatnot. Definitely, everybody's saving all the way around. Okay, good. So as far as affordability and what has been brought to this community in terms of affordable housing, what do you see as coming from this effort here? Well, affordable is, you know, kind of a hard word in San Francisco because nothing's affordable. But what we built here, when we start building these projects, the architects in pre-construction do what's called VEs, value engineering. So that, you know, brings the cost of building down, and that's good for everybody. That's good for any general contractor or any city.
Excellent, excellent. And so from the tenant's perspective, when we talk about the needs, how did they incorporate some of the needs into the construction?
Well, so incorporating the needs as far as like the tenants, they move in, they listen to different ideas they want are from the older housing, the public housing. So right now, one big one is like the bathtubs. They want the bathtubs a little bigger, or they want a certain type of appliance. So that feedback is definitely put in. And so when the developers, McCormick, Barron, Salazar come in, they think about that stuff.
Okay, good, good.
I'm a laborer. Right now I'm doing foundation, consistency with rebar, also containing walls, concrete. For right now. There's more to come. Carpenter.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
We already put in assistant plumbing, assistant pipes.
I love it. And Maurice? I'm a journeyman carpenter, and what we're doing is we're doing form work right now, getting ready for the first part, the layout, until we start constructing the building.
We're like family. Larry started with me at the Carroll building. He was part of building that. Maurice started over at Block 1. He's one of our top carpenters looking to go foreman. And then you heard Larry, he's about to go to become a carpenter. He's now a journeyman laborer, been doing his thing. And these brothers have put their blood, their sweat, their tears in building these beautiful projects.
I got a question. How does it feel to be able to build your own community?
Oh man, it's wonderful when you can come back and give back to the community, helping to build the communities up and keeping everybody in good spirits. So that's what I look forward to every day doing, every day.
It's wonderful. I've been working in the Bayview District all my life. I helped build a state park, shipyard, especially Alice Griffith, where I was born and raised. It's just unbelievable with all the progress that we looking forward to in the years to come. And I'm very happy with the work, especially working in my neighborhood, in the Bayview District.
How many years have you lived here, Larry?
I'm going to say 58 years. I live right here in the Bayview District.
We look forward to helping build the communities up every day, man. We try to work with the youth. We try to work with everybody to try to help them get employment, getting apprenticeship programs, whether it's scholarship programs. We look forward to that every day, working with the communities and trying to help them build them up so they can feed their families, just like we feed our family.
If you had to give any advice to the youngsters, what would it be?
Man, get into the construction trade, man. This is where it's at right now. This is where you can make money. This is where you can help get paid for your dental, medical, 401k, all the benefits. You know what I'm saying? And you can take care of your family just as well as yourself.
It's really important for HUD to know how developments like this, new developments, transform and transition people and their lives. Tell me a little bit about that.
It made a major impact on the lives of the families as we began the transition process, because with that transition came a lot of work was put into it. We had case managers involved that helped the families realize what was getting ready to happen. We had meetings after meetings after meetings, answering any questions that families may have that they were concerned about. The children, was it going to be a play structure for the children? Was it going to be a community room where they could have company, invite people to come over? It was just a major transition for families.
And when you talk about community, there's a sense of community amongst a group of people that stay together and have seen one another, their children grow up and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And that same sense of community, I feel it sounds like that transition needed to continue on in this new development.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
And that was the goal, was making sure that we could sustain all of that.
So that it was almost seamless.
It was seamless.
It was almost a seamless transition for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Working at Alice Griffith in the 80s was a very interesting time for me because I knew of people that lived in Alice Griffith. And at that time, I was working with the Bayview Hunters Point Foundation and providing mental health and substance abuse services to the community there. And really, when you looked at the mental health of the people living there, much of it was colored by the lack of opportunity, the poverty, the violence, and a lot of negatives in the community. So you really were providing mental health services not to optimize the lives of people, but to try to just get them to a basic level of functioning. Today, this is very different. We provided mental health services through Westside at Alice Griffith, and we're doing really exciting mental health projects. We're still serving people that have severe mental health disorders, but we're also looking more at how to develop people so that they are moving into the positive mental health zone as opposed to the absence of disease. We're looking at what does it take to really maximize the full potential of people who've never really had the opportunity to look at that in their lives. And so I think that the development and the transition of people you really see as something that's very exciting. And this is very different, I think, than what's happened historically in housing projects, because many housing projects have closed, people have moved from them, and oftentimes the stability of that housing is what people have held on to, and so they go to a lack of stability. And that really impacts your mental health. When you don't know where you're going to be living, or if you're living in multiple environments. And so with this project, I think that the mental health has stabilized for people because they take a part in the planning of this transition, and they're offered the opportunity to participate in a very important component of their life.
In building or rebuilding a community, it's important that nonprofit, private, and community businesses, as well as political leaders, are part of the process. San Francisco's civil and political leaders are not only involved in the rebuilding of public housing, they understand the importance of rebuilding because they grew up in public housing.
I knew I was going to do something for public housing. Being a former resident myself and knowing that London's going to be there, we wanted to build in stuff.
Some of you know that I grew up in public housing. I lived there more than half my life, right down the street at Eddy and Laguna. And when I became supervisor and met with the mayor, he asked me what my 3 top priorities were on the board. And number 1, public housing. Number 2, public housing. Number 3, public housing. Since then, the mayor and I have been working hand in hand to do something different.
Rebuilding a community requires partnerships. One example is TLCM President and CEO Lynn Robertson's PSJ Top Cohort 1 training program and San Francisco's PUC collaborating in facilitating a housing conference. 2 featured speakers were Alice Griffith public housing builders Isaac Dozier and Samuel Adams.
Our work at Alice Griffith began with the Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant that I mentioned earlier. It basically guarantees that all the public housing will be replaced 1 for 1. And so the original Alice Griffith had 256 units, and when the project is complete altogether, it will be 502, not including the 121 units at Dr. Davis that Sam was referring to earlier. Okay, so a lot of the work that we have to do in terms of getting residents ready for workforce is on the front end. There's a lot of life skills development, soft skills development, and then in my 12 years of experience working for housing authorities, we always got to the point where we had a construction project and everyone is told, you know, you have to try to the greatest extent feasible to hire public housing residents. But what we normally find out is that a lot of our residents aren't ready for those opportunities. Either they need soft skills development, they need training on interviewing, as well as technical training on the vocational side of the house. So when we work closely with YCD and other partners, we'll talk about that a little later. This is a representation of the case management work that we had to put in place before we began Section 3 training.
So when we hire this workforce, it doesn't stop there. The workforce come in, there's a lot of times there's people that are in construction trades, and there's people that have been trained, but they're actually not on the job sites. They're just in a training class like this, sitting at a desk, looking at a construction job site, and being told what to do. Once we get on the job site, there's actually training, on-job training, where these people come in, they're actually holding a shovel, they're actually holding a certain type of shovel, like you can't use a shovel, you gotta use a shovel. And this is where our subcontractors come in. Our subcontractors will train them, on-job training, and make them actually work ready, where they understand that building this building has to be done at a certain time frame, certain schedule, has to be done in a certain way. And once it's complete, how beautiful it is done in a well-mannered, safe manner.
And so San Francisco wanted local hires, and that doesn't necessarily go deep enough for public housing residents. And so we had to really press that we not only wanted local hiring, we also wanted public housing hiring specifically. So when Sam gave us the construction schedule, gave us the labor workforce projections, our case management team, our workforce partners, our education specialists, Ms. Jones, went out and engaged residents around the particular jobs that they thought they wanted to enter into. And a lot of people had higher aspirations than they really qualified for. So we spent about a year building up the labor pool before construction started. To get in the union, it costs anywhere from $785 to $1,200. I don't know where you're going to get that from if you don't have a job already, but those are some of the barriers that we had to overcome before construction started. But what we noticed is in 2017, when we got into the skilled trades, HVAC and electrician and plumbing, there wasn't as many opportunities for residents. So I would encourage this group to start to think about it, not only setting the framework for residents to get into the trades early on, working with their GC to create a comfortable learning environment, but also continue to help residents along the spectrum of skilled trades, because eventually they'll lose opportunities on the back end. One of the things that we focus on holistically for Alice Griffith is increasing income for the whole family. And so we did see a 10% increase, click one more time, did see a 10% increase of Alice Griffith overall median income between 2012 and 2014. But as you can see, the far right-hand side, we got a long ways to go, because this is San Francisco. So as we start to work with families around, individuals around working in the more higher skilled trades, those are one of the things that we talk to them about.
Success lies in self-sufficiency and jobs.
I've been living in public housing for 46 years. I am now in the new public housing, went from the old public housing to the new public housing. And I am now in Local 261 Union in process of building the new public housing that's called Alice Griffith. And we went from the ground and built it from the ground on up. So hopefully it gets out to everybody that you can succeed in life.
So you're currently at the existing site as we know it.
Yes.
The Alice Griffith site. And as this new development is under construction, tell me a little bit about your transition from the old to the new and how you have developed some self-sufficiency in that effort.
Well, moving from the old to the new, it's being able to get up out the bed and come down here to work, okay, and knowing that this is where I'll be living.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as a laborer, you are actually having a hand in developing the site of where you're going to be living.
Yes, I do.
How does that feel?
Amazing.
Amazing.
That makes me really get up early in the morning and want to go clean my house.